Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn, and who else? Well, I'll tell you who else. It's the wonderful Kim Richard, a true titan of the music, film, and television industry with over 30 years of groundbreaking achievements, from owning over 100 gold, platinum, and diamond records to contributing to the iconic Pink Floyd's The Wall, the third highest grossing album of all time. Kim's career is nothing short of legendary. Starting as the youngest sound engineer at the Greek Theatre in Los Angeles, he rose to become a key figure at RSO and CBS Records, a special projects producer for ABC Television, and chairman and CEO of Allied Artists. With Grammy and Emmy nominations, awards from the New York and Cannes film festivals, and a pivotal role in introducing compact discs to the music industry, Kim's influence is undeniable. He's worked with icons like Pink Floyd, Queen, Neil Diamond, and countless others. Kim, wow, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's very nice to be with you.
And I love seeing all those little gold discs behind you. Which is your favorite?
Oh, I would. They're all valuable.
Oh, you've disappeared. Your
Like that.
your voice cut out then. Go for it.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can, yes, go for it.
These over here are from Andy Gibb, and
Ah.
those are personally important because he was a very good friend of mine. And
Oh,
of course,
wonderful. Well, yes, and the one behind you.
yeah, this one behind me, that is a diamond record from The Wall. That's Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, fantastic. Well, RJ Gibb, who's the son of Robin, is a very good friend of mine. I go down and see Dweena, where Robin used to be in Tame on a regular basis. So, yeah, Andy was an extraordinary character, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And it was I got the
For some reason, Kim, we're having a little bit of a problem with your sound. You keep
my,
cutting in and out.
well, still.
Oh, no. When you say still, that's okay. We'll make it work. But there's that sort of hissing noise, like a radio tuning, and then you come back in again.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm on a wireless.
Ah, well,
You
yeah,
disconnect for
you're
maybe
doing like
one
those
minute.
comedians used to do when they were testing their microphones. You're cutting out every other word.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we? Can we hit pause for a
Of
moment?
course you can. We'll go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be hearing
Okay.
more from Kim. Don't touch that dial. Back. Well, hello and welcome back. It's still Andrew Eborn here. Just before the break, we were having those hamsters turning extra quickly on their wheels, and I'm delighted we've now got Kim Richards back with us. Well done, Kim. What I love, we were just saying, oh, should we start from the top? No, I love the spontaneity of it, which is always good. But I want to do start from the beginning, however, because you
Uh-huh.
started your life as a teenage sound engineer at the Greek Theatre in Los Angeles. You earned a rare union waiver at that stage. Tell me what started your passion for music and sound at such a young age, and how did those early experiences shape your career trajectory?
Well, I grew up in the hills just above the Greek Theater, and across the street was a wall. It was our neighbor's wall, and it literally overlooked the Greek Theater. And as a little kid, I mean, 7 years old, I used to sit on that wall and listen to the likes of Judy Garland, Edith Piaf, and so on. And it was like a magical thing to me. And like the Pied Piper, I was drawn to the Greek theater. I wanted to see what was going on there. So when I was 13 years old, I was old enough to venture on down, and I went to the Greek, and I asked them. I said, "What does it take to work here?" And they said, "Well, we don't really have anything for you at your age." And and then one guy said, "Well, you could be an usher." And I said, "Does that get me in during the show?" "Yes." And I said, "Well, then I'll do it." So that gave me the ability to get inside during the day because I had a pass to go
Right.
in. And I started hanging out with the sound guys. And before long, the sound guys saw that I was truly interested in doing sound. And they went to the people who ran the ushers and said, "Would you keep him on your roll and let him work with us?" And they did. And so, and the thing with the union waiver that came a couple years later.
Right.
In those days, the Greek theater only had They only had shows during the summer, very
Yeah.
rarely in the winter.
No, and it's fascinating those sort of early days, isn't it? I mean, so tell me what it was like transitioning then from the Greek theatre to working with major labels like RSO and CBS Records, and how did those early roles in artist development and production prepare you for your later leadership at Allied Artists?
Well, it's actually there's a funny story, and that's that I was doing sound, and if a group opened up for another act at the Greek Theater, and they didn't have a sound man, the it was the job fell to the sound men that worked for the Greek Theater. And one of the fellows that ran sound was just a beautiful older fellow who really taught me everything I ever learned about early sound. Now, at the Greek Theater in those days, the knobs weren't faders; they were literally knobs.
Right.
But I still learned the principles of sound, and so he let me mix for acts that didn't have a sound man. Well, there was this one act that was opening up, and I mixed for them, and I just found them to be incredible. And I mixed every single show they did. And on the final show, I guess the sound man, somebody had asked him, he said, who did sound for us? And I was backstage picking up some microphones, and the sound man said, believe it or not, that kid over there did it. And they said, come on. They said, no. So they came to me and they asked me if I would go to work for them, mixing sound for them at a little place called the Softwith Camel here in Glendale. And
Right.
it was a place that had a Softwith Camel, a miniature one, hanging from the ceiling. And so I did sound for them. Well, guess who they were?
Go on then.
Steely Dan.
Amazing,
But in
amazing.
those days, nobody knew who Steely Dan was.
Right.
And so they asked me one time, they said, what is your trick for mixing? And I said, there's no trick. I said, I was mixing to hear what I wanted to hear. I heard these incredible sounds coming from that stage. And if I couldn't hear enough of it, I would increase it. I was mixing for my own personal pleasure.
It's obviously pays off. I mean, fantastic way of a sort of approaching. Now, obviously, I mean, the Pink Floyd, we spoke about them and the wonderful album you have behind you, the Diamond Certified album. Obviously, that's a career highlight. Take me behind the scenes of that particular project. What was it like working with such a groundbreaking band, and how did it influence your approach to music production?
Well, I learned a lot. I didn't produce it. I was simply one of the
Yes,
engineers,
yeah.
one of many. But the uh, the production on that album is absolutely incredible. And in some instances, it was a little tough because the band was working. They were working in shifts, sort of. You had Roger working at one time and David working at another, and I probably learned more about guitar just from watching David than ever in my life. That man
Right.
is just incredible, such a talent.
Yeah, I know, absolutely incredible. And we always talk about bands always have their difficulties and so on and so forth. But were there many examples? Did you see any inkling in those early days of those difficulties we subsequently experienced?
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody that was working on the album saw that.
Right.
For instance, um, David generally didn't. Roger and David didn't record at the same time.
Oh, is that bad at that stage?
Sometimes they did stuff together, but for the most part, they recorded at different times.
Right. And how did you handle them? There's a real secret in the music industry, isn't there? I mean, you talked about working with that Andy Gibb, who obviously had his own demons and so on and so forth. What's the secret to getting the best out of artists?
My belief, and I can't say that everybody adopts the same position, is to let the artist be the artist. And like for instance, with Rocky, uh, who you've had an opportunity
Yeah,
to
he's
interview.
brilliant. What a character.
Oh yeah. Well, he is one of the most talented musicians I've ever worked with. He is in many instances self-taught, But I'm telling you, I mean, this guy reads, writes music, and he comes up with music. He's done some stuff for motion pictures for us and things like that. So he's extremely talented. Well, if I were to try to tell him what to do, I would destroy him as an artist.
Right.
I have to let him be himself. Well, Andy was similar in a sense. He had an inherent Gibb sound that he sometimes he even was saying, "Well, he says, you think it sounds too Gibb?" And I said, "I don't think you can be too Gibb."
Yes, being too Gibb is a good thing, I would have thought. It's got to be good.
That's right. But
Yeah, no,
well, I mean, it was sort of a joke. But
yeah.
he, when I first met him, well, actually, that's how I met him. Is that I was working
Oh, you're breaking up
for
again.
Steely.
Yeah.
Breaking up.
Oh no,
That
yeah, it's
must.
okay. You had a little. It was like a little hiccup, but you're okay. Coming on to Steely Dan. Let's carry on.
Okay. Well, Steely Dan was at the Sopwith Camel, and they had their first hit. And they came to me and they said, "Well, we're not going to be working here anymore." It was just weekends. We're
Right.
not. And they said, "But would you like to go on tour to Australia with?" And then I cut him. I said, "Yes." They said, "You don't even know who it is." I said, "I don't care. I want to go to Australia." And so it turned out it was with Bay City Rollers.
Oh, shang-a-lang-a-lang and all that sort of stuff. Did you wear the
That's.
tartan?
I'm sorry. What?
Did you wear the tartan?
No, I did not. But I became really pretty good friends with Leslie McEwen while I
Yes.
was there. But anyway, opening up for Bay City Rollers was Andy Gibb. Now, a confession. I had heard of the name the Bee Gees.
Right.
I had not heard the name Andy Gibb prior to that. And I didn't really realize that the name Gibb had anything to do with the Bee Gees.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I had certainly heard a bunch of their hits at that
Yes.
point. And so, beginning of the show, I'm only 15 months older than Andy.
Right.
And so I was working monitors for both acts at that point. And so Andy looked at about, and everybody on stage was probably 4 times his age, except for me. Well, he had a microphone issue that he wanted resolved, so he selected me to ask, and I helped him resolve the problem. And after a few shows, we got to talking, and I didn't know who he was, and he said, "Well, what do you think of my sound?" I said, "I think you're very talented." And he said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, do you think I'm as good as my brothers?" I said, "I don't know who are your brothers." That one question to him made a lifelong, his life, unfortunately,
Yeah.
friendship, because he loved the fact that I liked his voice and had no clue who he was.
Oh no, I think it's glorious, and famously, whenever there's sort of brothers involved or groups generally, there are always sort of issues. So I think that was wonderful. I mean, a glorious story. Yes, who the Bee Gees? Who that's showbiz,
Well, I knew who the Bee Gees were, but I didn't know he was associated with them.
right?
And the name Gibb didn't mean anything to me.
Sure, that was funny. So I want to take you back to the 70s. I mean, you were pursuing undergraduate and law degrees while working at RSO Records. How did you juggle such demanding academic and professional commitments? And did your legal studies influence your work in the music industry?
Probably. They certainly ended up getting me advanced to CEO position at Allied. But just to clear up, I actually went to law school after I left RSO,
Okay.
and because I was very young when I started at RSO, and when I went to, I got shouldn't say headhunted. I was I had an opportunity to go to CBS, which gave me the opportunity to work with Pink Floyd.
Right.
And I wanted, and I loved Andy. I didn't want to leave there, but I basically said, "Andy, I'll stay if you really want." I said, "But I think it'd really help my career if I could go work with with Pink Floyd."
Yeah.
And he supported me 100%. Well, when I got to CBS, uh, Walter Yetnikoff, who was who was not the CEO at that time, but he was way up there. I can't remember where he was. He allowed me to go to school and work at CBS during, basically when I wasn't at school. If he hadn't done that, he was a lawyer,
Right.
and he agreed with that. And so I had a great relationship with Walter.
Yeah, no, it is cool. Well, my background is a lawyer as well. I think we're taking over the industry gradually, but it's a useful thing to have, isn't it? But also it's useful in terms of seeing new trends and dealing with new technologies that come about. And as a member of the RIAA Technology Committee, you obviously played a
Oh,
key role in introducing compact discs, overcoming industry skepticism. What convinced you at that stage that CDs were the future, and how did you craft your the compromise for oversized packaging to wing over to tractors?
well, that was quite a deal. I was part of that committee, and the marketing guys despised the idea of CDs. And surprisingly, it wasn't the quality, it wasn't all of the things that you would hear the techno people complaining about, the sound file people.
Yes.
It was the size of the 12-inch record
Right.
compared to a CD. They had a small little CD, and as opposed to a 12-inch record. They said we're losing advertising real estate in the stores. And so I understood that, and I said, well, basically, if we don't get on the CD wagon, it's going to leave without us,
Yeah.
which is what happened, by the way, with streaming,
Right.
with digital downloads. But anyway, and I said they're going to leave without us, so we better find a compromise. And then I said, and so it wasn't just me, but I'm the one who proposed it. I got selected probably to be the one that took the fall if it didn't work.
Yes.
But I said, we basically had a 6 by 12 packaging, and we would put the CD in the top, and it would sit there, and it gave them at least half the advertising that they had had with a 12-inch.
Right.
And so that was the move that threw it over, and we won by one vote.
Yeah, well, amazing, isn't it? And it's fascinating how music as a product managed to get repurposed from the vinyl to the CD to the cassette to digital, and you can keep earning revenue in that sort of way. Now, you've collaborated obviously with some phenomenal artists. We talked about Andy Gibb, Pink Floyd, Queen, Neil Diamond, Steely Dan,
Yeah.
and more. Which collaboration stands out as a personal favorite, and what did you learn from working with such diverse talents across genres?
Well, there's two artists that come to mind. The first, of course, is Andy Gibb,
Yes.
because that's the only artist to have three number ones in a row
Yes, amazing.
to this day. Okay, and he was just such a good person. I've been struggling here in Hollywood to get him a posthumous star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And believe it or not, they don't like giving posthumous because they have a hard time. They can't get the artist out to promote it. And so I did contact Barry, and this is just before Robin passed.
Yes.
I contacted Barry, and Barry and Robin agreed to come out and perform if they gave him one. And we came very close to getting it that year, but we still didn't. So I'm still pushing. But anyhow, so Andy Gibb would be probably the first one that comes to mind. Second, believe it or not, and this is not just promotion man speaking, is Rocky,
Right.
because Rocky is so unique, and he's so talented that, and I wasn't, I tell you what, I was retired from producing,
Right.
had absolutely no interest in producing. It's a long hours in the studio, and you get home at, you're rushing to get home before the sun comes up. And so you can pretend like you had a full night's sleep. But anyway, I got a call from Mike Panera,
Yes.
from Iron Butterfly and Blues Image and Alice Cooper. And when I worked with Alice, I met Mike, and we were very good friends. And Mike said, I've got this young guitarist I want you to meet. And he said, I think you'd want to produce him. I said, well, Mike, I'm really not producing anything anymore. That's years past. He said, well, I still want you to meet this guy. I think you'll find him interesting. And I said, I said, well, I'm really not interested. I said, but I'll tell you what, I haven't seen you in a long time. Let's go to dinner. And
Right.
he said, okay. So I met him. We went out to dinner. We had a very nice dinner.
Where
And we
was
got
it?
back.
Where was the dinner?
It was at a place called Houston's. It was here in Los Angeles. Well,
Okay.
actually, it was Houston's in Manhattan Beach, near the studio there. And
Houston's we
so,
don't Houston's we don't have a problem.
oh, okay. So anyway, so I, so we went to dinner and we got back in the car. I was getting ready to take him back home, and he said, "Okay, now here's what I want you to go." And I said, "What are you saying?" He said, "I want you to meet this guy, Rocky Kramer." And so I said, oh, "Okay." So we went and we met him, and there was something about him that fascinated me.
Yeah.
And so shortly after that, by about maybe a month, Rocky was playing on a festival with Mike
Yes.
and one of my artists that was on the same festival. And I was there and I got a chance to talk to him again. And I said, there's something about this guy. So I said, let me hear your demos. So so I did. I listened to his demos. I got a hold of Stefan Bauer, who was at that time ran our music division.
Yes.
And I said, Stefan, I think he's good, but I don't want to push this down you. It's never good, by the way, for a CEO to push an artist down a music division's throat. They'll always fail, whether they're good or not. I said, I want you to make an independent analysis. Stefan, who is an absolute genius with music, he came back and says, I want to sign him. I said, then let's do it. And he
Brilliant.
said, will you produce him? I said, yeah, I will.
Fantastic. And he's such a lovely guy. And as you can see, he's got all that sort of all-round talent. And it helps a lot when you can do that sort of side. And quite extraordinary, the sort of family background. And actually quite a tragic family background. He lost his mother at 5 and so on and so forth. But all of
Yeah.
that shapes the person, doesn't it? And talking about shaping the person, I mean, you joined Allied Artists in 1983. You became chairman and CEO by 1987. What were the biggest challenges you faced in leading such a storied company? And how did your early career prepare you for that role?
Well, probably the toughest thing is I had, other than Pink Floyd's The Wall, I had very little experience with movies. And Allied is primarily a motion picture company, but
Yes.
it had been divided into two divisions at that time. There was Allied Artists Music Group, what is now Allied Artists Music Group, and the Allied Artists Pictures. They were completely separate. Well, Allied Artists Pictures fell into hard times and had some problems and went into a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And so I understood all that. And at the time, my goal was to keep Allied Artists music going. Well, Allied Artists Pictures had basically had to sell a lot of their assets to Lorimar and other production companies. And the motion picture trademarks and rights and everything were left to the remaining companies. So we basically acquired them all from the motion picture company and turned Allied Artists Records, which is what the name was at that time, into Allied Artists Film and Music Groups ultimately. And so having to move into the film world was a mess for me because I didn't know it very well. So I had to go out and bring in some people that were experts and said, teach me.
Right.
And they I don't know how well they did at teaching me, but they did a great job.
Well, it's quite. I mean, you've had an extraordinary career. It spans many decades of massive changes in the entertainment world. Looking back, if you were to write a letter to the young you starting out in this profession, what advice would you give?
Probably listen to your father and stay in law school and go and become a lawyer. Well, no, I actually, I how do I put this? I did pretty much what I wanted to do. Not always did it work out, but for the most part, I don't. There are obviously mistakes that I regret, without a
What's the
doubt.
what's the big mistake you regret?
Oh well, just I mean, there are some acts that that's another thing is we never publicize the failures,
Yes.
and there are plenty of acts that are failures.
Well, but
That
that's the whole industry, isn't it? You have the one or two artists who pay for the several that you've got signed who don't make it.
Well, we had a wonderful group that I just loved in the late '70s, early '80s, called Vintage,
Right.
and oh, you remember Vintage?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought they were great, but they didn't have the success that I had hoped they would have.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think you look back on that sort of moment, and sometimes it's a bit of luck as well as talent, isn't it? Because there's lots of fantastic artists who don't make it. What do you think the key is to success?
Be, Again, I think being true to yourself. I think that authenticity means everything. If an artist is authentic, the audience knows it.
Right.
They feel it with them. I know I keep using Rocky as an example, but when he goes on his show every week, he's his authentic self, and they know it. And when he makes a mistake, he owns up to it. He says, "Ah, well, I screwed that up."
No, no,
And
I think that's the thing to do. People always talk about success, but they very rarely talk about the failure that led to that success. I mean, I was commissioned to do the Andrew Eborn's Book of Failure, which is what we did. It started as exactly that. It was a series in a big industry publication. I thought, shine a spotlight on those failures, because that's how you learn the lessons, and that's how you succeed, isn't it?
yeah, I agree. I agree. And so, well, I love that book. I'm gonna have to. I didn't know about that. I'm gonna have to get that.
I'll send it to you for Christmas. We'll work out what it's going to get.
Fair enough.
So finally, Kim, it's been an absolute delight having you on the show. It's a delight having Rocky on as well. I hope you'll both be back on the Andrew Eborn Show very, very soon. But finally, 100 years from now, when people look back at Kim Richards and his career, how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, as I guess as Andy Gibb's friend first, as Rocky Kramer's friend first, and playing I played less of a role in Andy Gibb's career than I have in Rocky's, and I'm hoping that Rocky is as popular as Pink Floyd was at their height,
Oh, well,
and I think he's capable of it. I really do.
yeah, well, certainly everything I've heard and speaking to him, and his
Yeah.
passion for the industry, he couldn't be in better hands. Kim, it's been an absolute delight having you on the Andrew Eborn Show. I very much look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Quick question for you.
Go for
Are you
it.
based out of London?
I'm on more platforms than Paddington, but yes, I am. I'm round the corner from Abbey Road.
Oh, really?
Regent's Park. So we have in a very famous media block where the Who were here, or Eric Clapton were here. We have BMI here. So a place called Harley House, which people know about. It's a big industry block.
I was down at Abbey Road many, many times. I love that studio.
Well, Rocky says he wants to go there. Well, I was being involved with holograms, and I was
Yeah.
saying to Rocky, we can get people to air hangers, but they much prefer to go to Abbey Road, where we filmed a lot of our holograms or did the process behind that. Getting an artist to Abbey Road is really easy.
Yeah, I definitely would like to take Rocky there the next trip to London, and we'll have to visit with you.
Oh, no, be absolute delight. We'll make sure that happens. And I travel all over the place, and I say I'm on more platforms than Paddington, so I'll come visit you as well. It's
And
gonna
when
be
you
good.
get to Los Angeles, you let us know.
I'll definitely do that, Kim. It's an absolute
We've
delight.
got some restaurants to take you to.
Oh, yes, I've heard about some of those. Yeah, Houston, we don't have a problem.
Well, it's so nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you, and I look forward to having you back on the show very, very soon.
Okay, you take care, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Take care.
Okay, bye now.
You thought you'd gone there, but he was just about to tell us something important. Kim, you've got 1 minute to tell us about Donington and Ozzy and a legendary
Well,
story. Go for it.
Def Leppard was at Donington, And it was the first show with Rick back after he lost his arm. And I don't know if you know it, but the drummer from Status Quo had been playing with him to comfort him.
Yes.
And he didn't want his first show to be Donington. But he agreed to do it as long as the drummer from Status Quo was behind him, behind a curtainish type thing. And so they did the sound check with that drummer there, and everything was comfortable. Came time to go on, and they announce the band. The band goes on, and Rick was the last to enter, and he looks and he goes, where is he?
Yeah.
Couldn't find the drummer anywhere. And so they said, you got to go, man. You're just live. So he walks in, he gets behind the drum set, and I'm stage left watching, and he starts playing, and he's doing fantastic. And everybody's going, where the hell is the drummer? From Status Quo. About 5-10 minutes later, I look over, and with a cup of beer, he's sitting over there, and he looks at Rick, and he holds the beer up.
And was that John Coughlin?
I'm not sure, but I know he was the drummer at the time from Status Quo.
A brilliant story. We're going to get you back for more of those stories. But for now, Kim Richards, thank you for joining me.
Okay, thank you, my friend. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.